I grew up in Saginaw, Michigan. I was shot in the face by accident April 5th, 1988. You go through something like that, it's going to do one or two things. It's going to make you fearful or fearless. It made me fearless. I don't feel no pressure. It's basketball. I'm tired of people living and dying with every single game we play. It's ludicrous, actually. It's like, come on, man, this is a marathon, and we hit a tough stretch. It's the same team that, we played some high-level games a little while ago, and we just got to get back to that. We got to keep the fight, though. We cannot lose our fight.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the All Lakers channel. My name is Noel, and it is a very, very special episode tonight, as I have not one, not two, but three writers and editors from AllLakers.com Sports Illustrated joining me today. We are going to start off with Mr. Alex Kirschenbaum. Alex, how are you doing today, my guy?
Good, Noel. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Excited to have a full house today. First time we have four. Next up, we have my guy, Matt LaVine. How are you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing good. We're joined by Horace Grant here. It's an honor. How are you doing?
Special guest. No, definitely very
Four
good.
titles.
Four titles right there, four titles. And then last but not least, we also have my guy, Martand. Everybody give him a quick hand. First episode, he is with us today. One of our brightest, especially when it comes to editorials. Martand, how are you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing well. A little better than the Lakers. So, yeah.
Like we said, that's not a very high bar right now.
No,
so
really low bar. Yeah.
It's much better than the Lakers. But, guys, first off, the Los Angeles Lakers, 17-19 on the season. And we all know that the hottest topic within the Lakers right now is Darvin Ham. We got to have a serious talk about him. That is the first topic on our list today because Shams Charania and Jovan Buha of The Athletic released an article the other day after the Lakers lost to the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. Jaime Jaquez put on a masterclass, embarrassed LeBron James, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and the entire Lakers roster. But Shams and Jovan both reported that there is currently a deepening disconnect between Darvin Ham and the Lakers locker room. 6 sources with direct knowledge of the situation say, raising questions about the head coach standing within the team. Alex, we're going to start off with you here. What are your immediate takeaways from this report, and do you think that this smoke is serious about Darvin Ham?
Well, got to consider the source. It's Shams talking to someone from Clutch, so it's pretty serious because that's a lot of the Lakers. And certainly LeBron James and Anthony Davis fit that bill. So we'll have to see what happens. He has not been great this year. He's had some really weird lineups. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, last time we did this. Just some crazy, like, super big shooting free lineups, and it just didn't work. And he would say, oh, this is our permanent lineup going forward. And then 2 games later, he would change it because it was obviously not working. The current starting lineup, I think his preferred starting lineup, at least he's set, is going to be when Rui Hachimura comes back. Austin Reeves at the point, Taurean Prince at the 2, and then LeBron and Hachimura at the forward spots, and Davis at center. Right now we have Reddish at small forward in lieu of Hachimura because Hachimura has been hurt with this calf issue. But I think this starting lineup is fine right now. It's crazy to me that it took this long for him to get there with it. And I'm frustrated, I think he's made some weird substitutions. He's made some weird rotation decisions. I think playing Jalen Hood-Schifino at all was insane. Like, he immediately just got out there and got just murdered by Jaime Jaquez. That was hilarious. I don't think he's been doing a great job. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt to an extent because of what he did last year in the playoffs for the Lakers. And also I think that it seems like he's like a good leader of men. People seem to like him. But obviously people are frustrated with him internally at the Lakers personnel player level. So I think they're going to make a move before they fire him. But if the move doesn't work, he's gone by late February.
I think you bring up a great point in that definitely Shams and Jovan, we're talking to guys within Clutch because, like I said, a lot of the Lakers are signed there and they're all linked together. And I mean, 6 sources saying that the locker room has a disconnect with Darvin Ham is huge. That is not something you want to hear from a team that is coming off a trip to the Western Conference Finals and is trying to contend for a title. Matt, what do you think about the Darvin Ham smoke right now? And do you agree with Alex that the timeline could be all the way to February? Or do you think that it could be sometime this month that we see potentially Darvin Ham let go?
I have a hard time seeing the Lakers letting him go during the season. I really do think that unless it becomes so unattainable, like attainable. That LeBron basically says, like, get him out of here right now.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. They've gone through so many coaches in recent years and everything, and I just can't see Genie doing this in season. If the Lakers miss the playoffs, or if they get bounced into the first round or play in tournament or whatever, he's gone, right? Like that's just it's just gonna happen. But my thing with Darvin is I do think this is real. I mean, you said they went out of their way to say 6 sources. Where have we ever seen that before, where they specifically say how many sources they have? It's real, and you can see it in the play on court. I mean, there's something wrong with this team right now. They don't look connected. I don't know what has gone on in the last month, really, since they won the in-season tournament. They just something happened, and it's probably something behind closed doors that we're never going to find out about, or maybe we do, like way after if he gets fired or something. Something's going on, and they need to address it now, because I mean LeBron's not getting any younger, and quite frankly, I think that they tricked us. This team last year that went to the conference finals, they tricked us. They were a flash in the pan, and it worked because it was kind of teams didn't have that much film on them, right? Like as a unit together, and they had LeBron playing at an unreal level, and that does so much when other players are playing well. Like look at Rui, he was awesome in the playoffs. Reeves was awesome in the playoffs, and Memphis had its own issues. Golden State had its own issues, right? And I don't want to say that they're a bad team. A couple weeks ago, I said I still believed in this team, but it's gotten to a point now where you're losing to a Miami Heat team that doesn't have their best player at home, mind you, not in Miami, and then, they had the game against Memphis yesterday where it was pretty much neck and neck the entire time. And then Memphis just kind of kills them in the fourth quarter. Like when have we ever seen something like this from a LeBron James led team? It's something's going wrong. And I think something needs to be changed. And I do agree with Alex. They're going to make a trade before they fire him. They have to, they just hired him last year. They're not just going to let him go. But it's at this point, it's starting to become kind of toxic if it continues, with the losing and everything.
Yeah, I definitely do think that some egos were hurt when both D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves went to the bench. And you see guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Cam Reddish starting together, who essentially have the same skill sets and can contribute much offensively at the moment. So you have D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, who were the starting backcourt that helped lead this team on a great run last year. Austin Reeves got a bag. D'Angelo Russell still got a contract re-signed with the team, even though it's a more tradable deal. And they're looking at each other like, hey, after we balled out last season with Bron and AD, now we're on the bench. So I think some hard conversations have been had. I think some players-only meetings have probably gone down where a lot of heat has happened. And then you look at the Lakers overall, 17-19 on the season, 2-8 in their last 10. And they have an all-time record of 60-58 with Darvin Ham. Now, Martand, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think that Darvin Ham has been using guys to the best of their abilities this season?
Yeah, definitely way lower on that scale. I'd probably say like a 2 or 3. I feel like last year, at least everybody's roles were carved out. When you look at the roster here, it seems like, it's tricky because Reddish and Vanderbilt are essentially one-way players. They only can really play defense. They're not adding much offensively. And then when you look at Prince, it's like, he's kind of a tweener. He's not doing a whole lot on either side of the ball. So it's really just LeBron, AD, and Reeves who have clear-cut roles, because when Russell's coming off of the bench, asked to run a second unit with Reeves, it's not entirely sure what his role is. He's not the spark plug. He's essentially running a whole lineup with Reeves, which isn't something you really see across the league, considering those two are also probably the third and fourth best players on the Lakers, right? And so it's an odd situation. I think extending off of what Matt said about last year too, with being a flash in the pan, I think I was saying this last year too, but it's hard to do this in a realistic way. But it seemed like the series against Golden State and Memphis were not something you can replicate year to year. Memphis was really banged up. They were without Steven Adams, without Brandon Clark, and I don't know if that necessarily would have swung the series, but it's clear that they have serious problems. They've been on the trade block trying to get all kinds of players over the past couple of seasons because they don't have much shooting. They have a bottom 10 offense, even with Ja playing. And Golden State clearly is in a lot of trouble too. They're not much better than the Lakers right now. And now there's talks about Steve Kerr potentially being on the hot seat in some way. You have Jonathan Kuminga basically asking out, Moody asking out. It's clear that Klay's taken a step back. Then the Poole got dealt for Chris Paul, got the Draymond stuff. I don't think that was a team that going into this season was like, oh, we beat them last year, so we're suited well in the Western Conference. Because even though we had a good offseason, it's like you see what else has gone on in the Western Conference, and you have the Timberwolves who've organically grown a lot, right? Who they got Naz Reid back, who's injured in the play-in when we played against them. Gobert is playing now this season. He missed the play-in when we played them. And Jaden McDaniels, who broke his hand before the playoffs, he's back. Anthony Edwards has improved. Like the Timberwolves are much better. The Thunder are much better. Right? Sacramento looks a bit better. These are all teams, and the Clippers look way better, and they're healthy. And that's the kind of thing that, we didn't improve the roster enough, in my opinion, on top of the fact that Ham's not utilizing the players well enough to really set ourselves up for success and arguably the most competitive Western Conference we've seen in a while, because it seems like 6 or 7 teams could win the conference realistically, and we wouldn't be surprised.
I think what really sucks about the Lakers being such a big market team that they are is that you can't really have patience year after year. If something goes wrong, it seems like everybody has hit the panic button and you've had to make like this huge major change instead of just making little minor tweaks along the way, whether it be shipping one player out or moving one position away from the other. And you look at a team like Denver, they had injuries. They had guys who suffer major injuries like Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. They both missed seasons, like full seasons, but they stayed patient. They knew that they had something good. But whereas the Lakers, after they won the title, it seemed like once something went wrong, they just made major changes. And we might see one again very soon with Darvin Ham. Now I'm going to pose this question to all of you guys, and whoever has an answer can go first. Do you guys have a certain pick for LA's next head coach if Ham does get fired?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends when it happens, if we're being completely honest. Yeah. I think a mid-season, it's more likely to be like Phil Handy. I think they would give him a chance. If it's after the season, I think it also just depends on what LeBron does. Is LeBron staying with the Lakers? Is he, leaving? Is he retiring? Right? Like we have all that to discuss at some point down the line. No one's going to like this pick, but I think he deserves at least a shot. And you might know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I already
I think Doc Rivers deserves a shot with this Lakers team.
That's what that was going.
I really do. And there's specific reasons. Doc, well, for all of his troubles, right? Yeah. He knows how to command a team, right? He does. Like we can't take that from him. He knows how to get guys to, be motivated around star players. He knows how to manage those egos. Yes, him and James Harden had some weird thing, but James Harden has had problems with a lot of different coaches and players over the years. Doc has also never had a LeBron James on his team, where in a game 7, right, we all know his troubles in game 7, you have LeBron James who can try to mask some of that, right? I think for maybe a year or two, Doc could be a good coach for this Lakers team, right? He, after Darvin, with the way Darvin's inexperience and his handling of different things, I think Doc could at least, navigate things a lot better and might be able to put some players in a better position. Now, I'm not advocating for Doc. He's not my number one choice, but I feel like that it might be where they might lean. LeBron loves him also. Let's not forget that. And LeBron has a lot of sway in what might happen here.
Yeah.
And it would just, like I said, it would just be a year or two. It wouldn't be multi 5-6 years kind of thing. But I think that's an after the season move. You don't bring someone in like Doc, midway through the season. I think Phil Handy is probably the most likely, and I'd be okay with giving Phil Handy a chance to see what he can do. Essentially, I think he's more than deserved it with his career in the NBA at this point. Real
quick, before I let Martand and Alex review, I would want that to happen, and I would want the Lakers to win a chip with Doc, just so I could see how that 2008 Celtics title team will react to seeing Doc Rivers
and the Clippers. Don't forget the Clippers too.
No, definitely.
If Doc wins
no one cares what the Clippers think.
Exactly. Yeah,
okay, but if Doc were to win a title with the Lakers, it would be kind of funny to see how the Clippers and their fans would react to things.
I would want to see Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce react to Doc Rivers on that podium with LeBron James holding the Larry O'Brien
in the purple and gold.
That would be
so interesting.
I would pay money to see that. But Alex or Martand, do you guys have a rebuttal to Matt and maybe a different head coach pick in case Darvin Ham does leave?
Yeah, Alex is frozen. I don't know if you're.
No, Martand, how are you?
Oh, for sure. So, yeah, I think I'm not a huge fan of Doc Rivers. I think that he's a floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser. I think that's been clear at the past few seasons, especially. Historic underachiever after the 2008 finals. Just time and time again, there's some excuse or another. But the 3-1 lead was on him back in the bubble. Further, down, with disappointments, I guess, in Philadelphia, with solid teams. And I think, now it's like, I think LeBron is likely gone at the end of the season. I think Bronny is playing his way into enough of a draft, decent draft position to where teams are going to be happy reaching a little bit on him. And then I think from there, LeBron's going to leave and go play with him. So in my opinion, I think this is the last year of our title window. I think after this year, we're going to be looking at a team without LeBron. It's probably going to be AD and the remnants of whatever team we have this season. In which case, I think obviously, yeah, Phil Handy's probably who would get promoted. I don't know if we want to coach with no head coaching experience or even actual like X's and O's experience, because to my understanding, Phil Handy's a skills development coach, which is not who should be coaching a team like this. My pick is actually Mike D'Antoni. I think that if you're going to pull somebody off the couch in the middle of the season, he might be the guy.
Yeah, Alex shaking his head.
We go in 2012, 2013 again.
We've tried this.
I know we tried this, but this was before D'Antoni really revolutionized, the way that not only his system.
This is post run and gun Suns. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
That
but it was
peak
a little
D'Antoni.
different. I think he tamed it down a little bit more in Houston and made it more realistic. And even the
Would
running
Laker fans accept D'Antoni though? Like I think
Unaccepted
that's the.
I think they would. I think like
I don't think
personally,
they care. They
I
got
feel
a
like
big
at this
name.
point, Laker fans might accept anybody but Darvin Ham.
exactly.
Like,
And
they
I don't-
might take Byron Scott back at this point.
I don't think
That's
people
harsh.
would
I don't know
really
about
argue. I think so much has happened, and I think a lot of blame went to Dwight Howard out of that entire team. Everybody blames Dwight Howard, so I don't
True.
think people would really be like, "Damn, like I don't want Mike D'Antoni." But Martand, continue on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just think that this team, by every offensive metric possible, is terrible. And I think with the way the league is now, and we saw it last season, like overall defensively, played well against Denver. Like we did a decent job against them. We did much better than Phoenix. And theoretically, if we had even like a decent offense, we probably could have won that series. All those games are fairly close. But it's the type of thing that, given the personnel that we have, it's not an offense that's you're really able to be maximized on with Darvin Ham at the helm. I think D'Antoni's a guy who will guarantee a top 10 to 12 offense, which is better than what we are now, which is like 26th in offensive efficiency, trailing the Wizards, who are awful. So if we want to move the needle at all, I think that's the way to do it. And when you have a guy like Anthony Davis, who's kind of a walking top 10 defense, I think the defense is going to be okay. The rim protection will always be top tier. All we really have to do is make sure we can put the ball in the basket, because scoring 96 points against the Heat without Jimmy Butler is unacceptable. You're not winning a championship. You're not even winning a first-round playoff series when you're playing like that. So I think we need an offensive coach, and those guys don't just roam the street. So D'Antoni's the best bet, in my opinion.
Okay, so far we have Doc Rivers, Phil Handy, Mike D'Antoni.
Right.
Alex, do you have another coach pick? If not, I have another question for you. So let me know.
David Blatt. No, I'm just kidding.
Luke Walton.
No, I
Oh,
do have
God.
one though. So like things are not going well up north right now for a certain someone, and I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but I kind of feels like Steve Kerr is on his way out in Golden State. And he's made some questionable decisions recently in terms of speaking of rotations, but I think he's just burned out with that job. Also, he lives in San Diego, right? So I feel like he'd be kind of a fun like celebrity coach hire if we're doing that kind of thing. And if we're not, then I would say make Mark Daigneault like an offer he can't refuse. That guy's awesome. He's maybe the second best coach in the NBA after Spoelstra, who's not leaving that job, and he's making like on the lower end of head coach salaries because he's never been head coach before. He even had a LinkedIn profile like pretty recently, and he's revolutionized that team. Like that team is the second best team in the West now all of a sudden, and he really knows his stuff. He has creative solutions for how best to use his players. And I think he really get the most out of this team. Although I think that there needs to be some shakeup with the roster too. But regardless, I think that guy would be awesome. And I think the Lakers would be one of the few teams that would be willing to like just sort of come in off the top rope and pay him like $15 million or something to poach him. I think poaching somebody would be a fun strategy. Or like like one of those like coaching trades. They don't really do that much, but Doc Rivers they did that with. So it can be done.
I mean, I would be, if we're going to poach, I think, Daigneault's a terrific coach, in my opinion. I think Jamal Mosley in Orlando's another guy who could really work. He's those guys are so bought in over there. And that's a cheap ownership group who would definitely not match anything.
Right.
And if we're just going to toss money around, I mean, Nick Nurse, Tyronn Lue, I mean, anybody, right?
I agree with that.
I think it's
Completely.
Daigneault opens a can of worms to a lot of great options. But unfortunately, that's all at the end of this season where we may not have LeBron anymore, and we'll be competing with AD and Reeves shooting 40 shots a game, and I don't think that's going to go very far personally. So
Really awesome thoughts all around, guys. I really like all of those suggestions. We're gonna have to make like a whiteboard, put everybody's name next to these predictions, and we're gonna throw it all in a pot, see who's the closest, and we're gonna throw a party for whoever gets it right. But
there we go.
I definitely do think the Steve Kerr one is very, very interesting. I think that would shake up the basketball world. And if NBA is scripted, that would be the perfect next chapter for Lakers and Warriors. I do have a hot take. I think if we get Steve Kerr, he brings Klay Thompson over here with them. Just my personal opinion.
Sure.
But moving over away from Darvin Ham into the trade market, we're just under a month away from the trade deadline this season, and two big names are linked to the Lakers with just about a month left. And those are Zach LaVine and Dejounte Murray. Now, Matt, I want to hear your thoughts on LA potentially making a move for Murray.
I love it. Personally, I mean, you're not going to get anyone better than him at this point. I mean, granted, it's the NBA and it's overly dramatic for absolutely no reason. And someone might become available in the next month that we didn't think was going to become available. But if this is, if we're where we're at right now, I think I would 1,000% take Dejounte Murray over Zach LaVine. I mean, he helps them in so many different ways that Zach LaVine doesn't. And his contract is nowhere near as bad as Zach LaVine's. I mean, Dejounte Murray can play defense also, which helps. I mean, he's a decent perimeter defender. He can at least attempt to slow down, like a Jamal Murray or someone like that if you're facing them in the playoffs. Maybe even James Harden if you have to play the Clippers in the playoffs, right? I mean, he might be a little small, I guess, when against some guys, but I like it. I think he can attack the rim. I mean, he's gotten better pretty much every season. I mean, there's a reason that the Hawks paid what they did to get him from the Spurs. I've been a Dejounte Murray fan for years now. Just when he was on the Spurs, like there was no way he was ever going to be a Laker because the Spurs just don't like the Lakers. But like
they would have asked for LeBron.
They would have asked for Davis, LeBron, and the rest of the picks for the next decade. But I think he is probably the best bet. But the issue is that they want Austin Reeves, and the Lakers don't want to trade Austin Reeves. Now, if you can get Dejounte Murray for pretty much anyone other than LeBron, AD, or Reeves, I think I'm okay with that. As much as I don't want to lose Max Christie, because I think he has some, potential to be a nice rotation piece. I think you have to try to maximize this window with LeBron on the roster, especially if he's not going to be here, next year. And I'm not saying Dejounte Murray is going to put the Lakers into, a top contender to win the title, but he gives them a hell of a lot better of a chance to win than what they have right now. D'Angelo Russell would probably be shipped somewhere else. I assume. I don't see Russell and Trae Young playing well together at all. So it would probably be a 3-team trade, which has been kind of the norm in the NBA anyway, between a lot of, trades. So I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm fully on board with the Dejounte Murray trade.
Yeah, I definitely do think it's pretty interesting seeing that Murray is having his best season from beyond the three-point line, shooting 38% on a really good amount of attempts. He's not the same defensive player he was before the ACL injury, but you also have to remember that he's playing next to a very undersized guard in Trae Young. So essentially, he has to guard the best guard on every team. He also has to handle the ball a lot. The Hawks have been playing some of their best basketball when he is the point guard. And that is part of the reason why he is going to get traded, because when Trae Young is making the money that he's making, he needs to be your full-time point guard. He needs the ball in his hand all the time. And I really like Trae Young, but it does make a lot of sense that Trae Young and Jalen Johnson are the 2 billion pieces right now for Atlanta. And likely Murray is either going to go to the Lakers or the New York Knicks. Alex, I know you are scouring the internet all the time. You put together some trade articles that you talk about guys that I didn't even think were available, but somehow, some way, they make sense for the Lakers. Do you have any other targets that you hope LA goes after besides Zach LaVine and Murray?
Yeah. I think that this is a little bit of a hot take because his three-point shooting has not been good this year, but the Lakers have a lot of size, but everyone besides LeBron James and Anthony Davis is kind of limited, right? So what about a reunion with Julius Randle? Now think about it. He's not going to cost that much because he's kind of an appreciating asset, right? He's not a great defender, but like Matt said, like AD is like a top 10 defense on his own. It's a weird positional overlap with LeBron, but LeBron can play kind of anywhere, sort of. So, like, you don't have to give up Austin Reeves in that scenario, right? You probably get away with giving up D'Lo and Hachimura and a pick or something. And, he gives you some offensive versatility. He gives you rebounding. He can score for you. You still have an issue with the lead ball handler thing. So you have to kind of figure that out. But I think that you don't have to give up everything to get Julius Randle, and the Knicks are very active right now, clearly. So I think it's worth considering, but it would probably have to be as part of like a larger kind of overhaul.
Interesting. So I saw Martand had a reaction to that. Martand, you want to review that at
Yeah.
all? Give your thoughts.
I think Randall would. I mean, he would fit fine. I mean, he's a good player, multi-time All NBA guy. But I just can't see a scenario where the Knicks move off him. I think they're committed to the Brunson Randall combo. I think the decision to trade for OG was fairly reflective of that, because when they decided to move off of Quickly, it was clear that Quickly's not. They value Randall more than Quickly, because the thing with Quickly was they would have had to pay him probably $30 million this offseason. And Randall's making, around that. And so basically their decision to hold on to Randall over Quickly is basically a commitment to Randall, which I think is a good idea, because Quickly is a smaller guard, and running him and Brunson together in the backcourt might not have been the best idea into the long term. If we do trade for Randall, I think we'd have to give up Reeves, because I just can't see it. I mean, D'Angelo Russell does not carry much value around the league, and I don't know why Brunson, who's top 5 in usage rate, I believe, producing at an elite level, at all 3 levels, they would want to have the ball out of his hands and instead have Russell, handling it a ton. And I also don't know who the Knicks would be running, at forward and take a lot of those shots. I mean, Anunoby would end up having to take probably, 5-6 more shots per game, which isn't necessarily the best idea. And then Brunson surrounded by, I don't know, like a bunch of role players, which doesn't sound like the best fit to me, because they have Randall who can take on that number 1 load on a lot of nights. But I mean, what other names do you have?
Well, one thing though is I have to say, like, who doesn't like Julius Randle is New York Knicks fans. They're out on that guy.
That's
like,
true.
I know maybe the Knicks
Yeah.
front office likes
That is
him,
true.
but like, I don't know how much they actually like him. I mean, I think they have to understand like where he is on the hierarchy of like stars. He's not like a huge star. Like, he's not gonna be an all-star this year. Brunson's the all-star on that team. I don't think they're both gonna get in. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see him being a fit long term. But anyway, yeah. Other weird names. Let's see.
2 that I have seen floated around by Trevor Lane and Sean Davis. We're talking about these 2 guys from Brooklyn, because Brooklyn,
Oh, I was
most-
about to talk with the Brooklyn guy. Yeah.
most likely going to be sellers at the trade deadline. That's what I think.
Finney Smith and O'Neal.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I-
It was-
O'Neal's so cheap though, right? Like, what's his contract?
Brooklyn, I think, is.
I think he's a free agent at the end of it.
Yeah, it's like $9 million, and he's a free agent. But I think the thing with Brooklyn is they're basically similar to what Masai was trying to do with OG before he dealt him to New York. Was that like they're not trading these guys for their skill value; they're trading them for the fit that they bring to every team. And like a player like O'Neal and Finney Smith, like they can move the needle for like a really good team, just like KCP did for the Nuggets, right? Where like if you're on the cusp. Like if Dallas were to pick up DFS again, ironically, after they lost him in that Kyrie trade, but if they were to pick him up, like I would consider Dallas to be a lot more serious, because that's a guy he can guard 1 through 4. He's a great 3-point shooter. Like he's a really solid player to have. So you're gonna end up asking probably for, if I was Joe Tsai, I'd probably ask for at least a 1st-round pick for DFS, because I know that teams would have to give that up. And so for the Lakers, I would feel like, that we're basically all in and willing to go more all in at the deadline. You have to give up a 1st, I think, in that situation, which I don't know. If you're going to try to go get a guy like LaVine, then you might as well not trade for somebody like DFS. So to me, it's like mutually exclusive if we either trade for more role players or if we try to bring in a 3rd great player like Murray or LaVine.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing there too is that when it comes to Zach LaVine, talking about his value and talking about potentially giving up some picks, it looks like he doesn't have much of a market outside of the Lakers. That's what all reports have been stating, and it's definitely been because he hasn't been able to play. Now, I don't know. It was definitely interesting timing that he's coming back now with just a couple weeks before the trade deadline. Matt, what is the type of package that you'd be willing to give up in order for LaVine to land on the Lakers?
I don't want to trade any draft picks for him, but like you kind of have to. He is an all-star. You're going to have to give up something for him. Russell, Rui, and a pick. I'm not giving more than that. His contract is atrocious. I'm not. If the Lakers are taking that on, I'm not going to give up more than that. And I don't think Pelinka's going to give up more than that.
And I do hope Pelinka works. I hope he works the magic where he's showing the Bulls that I wouldn't say doing them a favor, but we are helping them, because he's making so much money. The Bulls are playing better without him right now. And it looks like no other team besides maybe Golden State is interested in him right now, and Sacramento. But even that, I think it's really interesting.
I think those are leverage leaks, to be honest. I can't see him with Golden State. I don't know. That doesn't really work for me. Sacramento's an interesting one. Now that one I could maybe see because I believe they signed him
Yeah,
to
offer
that.
sheet. He signed
Yeah,
an
the
offer
offer
sheet,
sheet a couple years ago, but then the Bulls obviously.
and then Alex begged the Bulls to match the offer sheet. That's what I heard.
You know
Yeah,
how
he called him up. He
you
called
probably
up
can
front
guess how I
office.
felt about that at the time. But well, sorry,
I
Martin,
just-
you have quick thoughts. I have a whole thing about the Bulls if you guys want, so I'll let you guys go first.
Martand, any
yeah.
thoughts on
Yeah, go
potential
first.
package for LaVine?
Oh yeah, what I was gonna say. I'm curious why you don't see him with the Warriors. I feel like that's a good. He's a great shooter. He can play off the ball, attack closeouts. Like, I feel like if you're trying to find a guy who can actually do what Klay Thompson's supposed to do, plus more than that, I think LaVine's probably the guy for them.
I think the issue is just you have too many guards at that point. Because like if
Chris
they
Paul
get
has
there
to
now,
go.
let me
Yeah,
rephrase. If they
Chris Paul has to
trade Klay Thompson,
Chris Paul's out for the season.
Chris
you know?
Paul's probably
Yeah, he's
done
got a
at this point.
fractured hand.
He might be
Well,
done.
I thought he was. Wait, he's out for the season?
I thought it was the season.
I mean,
I
he
thought it
had
was done back.
surgery. I mean,
Did they
he's
rule him
also
out for
what?
the
Like he's
season,
also
though?
old. So
I mean,
like,
how long is Golden State's season? I think it's gonna end in the first week of April at this rate. Like they might be. I don't know, but
either them or the Lakers, one of the two. But
He hasn't been that good though. That's the
Yeah,
other
no,
thing.
he
It
has
might be
not.
addition by subtraction with him.
If they
With-
trade Klay
yeah.
Thompson in the deal, I would love the Zach LaVine there. But
Oh
if you
yeah,
still
yeah.
have Klay on the roster, I
Curry, LaVine,
can't see it.
And Clay might be weird, but yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm
I
with
just
you on
can't see
that.
it if Thompson's still on that roster. But if they find a way to move him, I'm all for it. Zach
Yeah.
LaVine
Kuminga
would
and
actually
Klay?
be interesting.
Kuminga and Clay, yeah, that could work. And Wiggins would probably have to be part of that too because he's actually dead weight. And I think, I don't know, yeah. And then the other thing is defensively, like it would really be a disaster because Clay with how his legs are at this stage in his career, and then LaVine in general, like none of those guys can really be point of attack defenders.
And Draymond is, I mean, he's still good, but
But that's
who
one
knows?
guy, and Looney's
Who knows
like,
what's happening with Draymond also?
But he's insane. Yeah.
He's a changed man, so
But also-
we'll see what happens with him.
Took 2 weeks of therapy, but he's fine now.
He's changed, he's perfect.
New year, new Draymond. We're gonna have to see how
That's
that
right.
plays out once he's actually back on the court. But Alex,
Sorry,
you're a
yeah,
Bulls
okay.
fan. You cover the Lakers full time. Talk to me. What? Non-biased. All right. Don't try to poach all these players in this package that you're trying to get to the Bulls.
You're gonna
Give me
hear
a
the greatest
realistic-
Dalen Terry pitch you've ever. I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
realistic package, Alex, for
Oh
LaVine.
my god. Dylan Terry started for the Bulls yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw.
Nobody watches the Bulls.
It was so brutal. Some of us do. Some of us still do.
I'm
And
sorry.
They're the 11th seed in the East. All right, they are a chippy 11th seed. But yeah, like I think the Bulls like don't understand how bad they are like internally, and they're encouraged by the Kobe White renaissance, which like has been really a fun surprise as a person that came up as a Bulls fan. But they don't need to like hold on to DeMar DeRozan or Alex Caruso so tightly. Like the problem with Alex Caruso is that guy could probably get a pick on his own, and probably DeMar too. Although DeMar is an expiring contract, so I don't know. But like, so there might be other packages for those guys. I don't know if the Bulls even are thinking to shop them at this point because the season has kind of been somewhat salvaged. Like I still think they're like not good enough to like make the playoffs or whatever. They could be like a playing team like they were last year, but miss the playoffs and thus miss any postseason revenue. Which is important to the Reinsdorfs. But anyway, yeah, I think that the package for me from the Bulls really should be Caruso and DeRozan. Like DeRozan's actually shooting like 35% from three this year. I'm like 2 attempts or whatever it is, but you just leave him open in the corner. That's fine. I don't know if people take him seriously as a 3-point threat yet, nor necessarily should they. But Caruso is shooting pretty well from deep, like 40% or something. And he's an awesome wing defender. Speaking of wing defense, the Lakers really need that because of the Gabe Vincent thing and Jared Vanderbilt just being so atrocious on offense. So I think that's the package the Lakers should be prioritizing if the Bulls will listen. I don't know. It might kind of require them to make some other maneuvering happen to get another pick back so they can like not get rid of Reeves. Otherwise, yeah, Reeves, a first, Hachimura, something like that for DeMar and Caruso makes a lot of sense to me for both sides.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say is Caruso is similar to what we were talking about DFS, and Royce O'Neal is one of those guys who you can run the price up because it's demand driven. So like if a team like the Bucks, for example, if the price is just like, like a first round pick, for example, like those teams would be able to give that up because that really moves the needle. Like I think the Bucks with Caruso are the title favorite potentially, right? Or like if like Dallas were to get him, or Denver or something like that, where they start to really like close, like kind of cover every corner. I think that helps them a lot. And so I think you can get more for Caruso than from the Lakers. And I think the same can probably be said for LaVine, but I just don't know what the market looks like. And part of my concern with the Lakers is that, like, relatively speaking, we have probably the worst package for every single player on the market compared to these other contenders that could move. Sacramento has picks and players who are actually considered valuable around the league, like not Jalen Hood-Schifino, but like actually good young players. And Golden State obviously has like several guys who could be moved: TJD, Kuminga, Moody, Pajemski, even depending on the package, right? So I think we're just in a rough spot. I think like Alex, like as a Bulls fan, like obviously you probably want like him to go to a team like Golden State, for example, where you can get like legit long-term talent, right?
Well, I like Reeves more than I like Kuminga or whatever. So if I'm looking from a Bulls perspective, like that's the best thing you can get back, probably if you're talking about like a young player from the Pacific Division. But yeah, like I don't know. I think I could other teams have more draft assets. That's true, but the Bulls, their new GM Arturas Karnisovas is a terrible drafter. So I don't know if that's what we should do. I would say like get some young talent under team control for a while, like a Reeves. But yeah, Caruso, like the Bucks, I don't know if they have any picks left after that Damian Lillard deal. Do they have a first? I don't even know if they have a first.
They actually may not. I thought they had the 2029 first spot. I don't know if that's what you want for Caruso.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I guess I want a first back for Caruso. Ideally unprotected, but maybe like top 10 protected or something. Like that guy's got a crazy value contract.
Caruso might end up in Miami. I just have a feeling he's going to end up in
That
Miami
would be
somehow.
That's like the perfect
top
fit for
tier
him.
fit. Yeah,
He's going to like replace Gabe Vincent like from last year. I could totally
Dude,
see
That would
that.
make them a scary playoff team.
That would kind of rule.
I can't. The Lakers are. I don't think the Lakers are going to get Caruso. As much as I would have loved to see him back on the team, they're not giving. The Bulls are going to want Reeves and a pick, and for Caruso, I'm not doing that.
Reeves and a
I'm not
pick for
trading Reeves
Caruso
unless we get
and
like a true
DeRozan,
star
who's very
player.
good.
DeRozan would only fit on a team like Miami, though. Actually, not even there because they need.
DeRozan's also a free agent at the end of the year, and like as a Laker fan, I don't want to re-sign him to a big contract. So
Yeah, I could already
he's like
see
what 34. Yeah. So I don't know. He
I don't
fit
like the
2
way
years
his
ago.
game is
Although it would be kind of ironic to see DeRozan come back after everything that went down a couple years ago.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it'd definitely be
Full
crazy.
circle moment here. That would be interesting.
You
I
never
think
know
he's
what's
got the
gonna happen
offensive
at the trade
creativity. Oh, go on.
No, you're good. Go for it.
I just, he doesn't have the 3-point shooting really. Although this year he's playing pretty well from deep. Again, not on volume though, so you still kind of need to figure that out. Caruso's been pretty good from volume, relative to his minutes. So I feel like they could find a 3-point shooting somewhere else, separate deal, whatever. Luke Kennard, something to get Luke Kennard would be nice, but you don't need the DeRozan and Caruso trade to be the only trade that they make, But I think that like the defense and offense from Caruso on the wing, and then the playmaking from DeRozan, and he doesn't hurt you as a 3-point shooter. I think that's fine. And then the defense, like he's not a good defender, but LA's defense is not the issue anyway, and they could take a hit, so it's okay.
Yeah, but like I was saying, you never know what's going to happen at the trade deadline. You never know who's going to be selling. I know that Rob Pelinka will have some tricks up his sleeve. At the end of the day, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. LeBron has played 33 out of LA's 38 games. Anthony Davis, 34 out of LA's 38 games. So these guys have been available. They're performing. They're doing what they need to do to win. And it's really all on LA's front office to get them a roster that is going to help them contend and get back to the promised land. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Appreciate all you guys hopping on. My guy, Matt, hopefully maybe we see a guy with a tweaked version of your last name in a Lakers uniform. But thank you for hopping on today, Matt.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Let's hope the Lakers actually, make some good moves here in the next month.
Yes, sir. Alex, I hope that you're writing about some crazy articles, some crazy breaking news, and hopefully we're able to hop on for an emergency pod. Alex, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. See you guys on alllakers.com.
Yes, sir. Martand, thank you. Very first episode. Incredible insight. We're excited to have you on moving forward.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for taking the time. And hit up alllakers.com. We got all the rumors and news.
Yes, sir. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, stay up to date with all the latest videos, like the button, and also check out alllakers.com. All these guys right here are incredible. They all put in time and effort, blood and tears into their articles, and just an amazing read overall. But you guys have a good rest of your day.